Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where one does not do photo ops over the graves of soldiers, this is Ballot.
That's right. And Kamala is finally going to do an interview. But it's pre-taped, and Tim Walz is riding shotgun, so everyone is mad. Let's hit this. Well. Looks like Jesse Waters is back in the hot seat, folks. And this time, it's not for his charming personality or stunning intellect. No, it's for suggesting that generals would have their way with VP Kamala Harris in the Situation Room. But don't worry, everyone. Waters wants us to know he didn't mean it in a sexual way. Oh no, he was just talking about her leadership style. Because when I think of critiquing someone's leadership, my go-to phrase is always, have their way with. But wait, there's more. He once claimed female journalists sleep with sources all the time. I guess in Waters' world, Woodward and Bernstein were less all the president's men and more 50 Shades of Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris and her new sidekick, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, are set to grace CNN with their presence this Thursday. It's their first joint interview since Walz joined the campaign, probably because they needed time to coordinate their outfits and practice their synchronized nodding. This is Harris's first in-depth chat since President Biden, remember him, don't worry, he doesn't either, decided to gracefully bow out of the 2024 race. And by gracefully bow out, I mean trip over his own shoelaces and stumble off the political stage. The dynamic duo will be cruising through South Georgia on a bus tour, because nothing says, I'm in touch with the common folk, like a luxury bus rolling through peach country. CNN's Dana Bash will be conducting the interview, presumably because she drew the short straw at the office. Speaking of short straws, remember that presidential debate Bash moderated back in June? The one where Biden's performance was so stellar, it convinced the entire Democratic Party to hit the panic button? Yeah, good times. Meanwhile, we've got a real Republican rebellion on our hands. More than 200 GOP alumni from the Bush, McCain, and Romney camps have decided to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. It's like watching the cast of Republican High School Musical break into a song and dance number for the Democratic prom queen. These GOP veterans are warning that a second Trump presidency will hurt real, everyday people and weaken our sacred institutions. Will knock me over with a feather. Who would have thought that the guy who treats the Constitution like a takeout menu might not be great for democracy? Now, these Republicans admit they have plenty of honest, ideological disagreements with Harris and her running mate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. But apparently, they'd rather have those disagreements than watch Trump play pin the tail on the democracy for another 4 years. The letter criticizes Trump and his acolyte J.D. Vance for kowtowing to dictators like Vladimir Putin. It's like they're auditioning for Dancing with the Autocrats, and Putin's the judge. In response, Trump's campaign spokesman basically said these Republicans would rather see the country burn than see Trump back in the White House. Well, folks, that's what I call a warm welcome for political dissent. Meanwhile, at the Democratic National Convention, we had more Republican defectors than a Soviet-era spy novel. Stephanie Grisham, Trump's former press secretary, spilled the beans faster than my Aunt Edna at a family reunion. She claims Trump called his supporters basement dwellers. I guess in Trump's world, that's a step up from deplorables. Trump's been taking a ride on the Imagination Express, and boy, is it a wild journey. Trump was interviewed by Dr. Phil. First stop, California, where apparently Trump's popularity is so immense, only the Son of God himself could accurately count the votes. Because nothing says I'm winning quite like needing divine intervention to prove it. Trump said, if Jesus Christ came down and was the vote counter, I would win California, okay? In other words, if we had an honest vote counter, a really honest vote counter, I do great with Hispanics. Great. I mean, at a level no Republican has ever done. But if we had an honest vote counter, I would win California. I see it. I go around California, they have Trump signs all over the place. It's a very dishonest state. Everything is mail-in. They send out 38 million ballots, I think it is. Anytime you have a mail-in ballot, you're going to have massive fraud. I guess walking on water wasn't impressive enough. Now we need walking on ballots. Next up, Trump's grand theory that Christians and NRA members don't vote much. Who knew? Maybe they're too busy turning the other cheek and exercising their right to bear arms, simultaneously. And let's not forget Trump's clarification about his "you won't have to vote again" comment. Apparently, it was just a friendly reminder to vote this time, not a hint at eternal presidency. Phew. For a moment there, I thought we were headed for President for Life Trump the reality show. But wait, there's more. Trump also defended his dictator for a day comment. It was just a joke, folks, because nothing says stable democracy quite like casual dictator humor. I'm sure George Washington is laughing in his grave. It looks like Donald Trump's visit to Arlington National Cemetery turned into a real-life game of capture the flag. Except instead of flags, it was photographers. And instead of fun, it was a PR nightmare. Apparently, Team Trump thought it would be a great idea to bring their own paparazzi to a section of the cemetery reserved for fallen soldiers. Because nothing says solemn respect quite like a campaign photo op, right? The cemetery officials, clearly not fans of impromptu photo shoots, decided to play human shield. Trump's team claims the official was having a mental health episode. Sure, because trying to enforce federal law is totally crazy these days. Trump's campaign spokesman Stephen Chung threatened to release footage of the incident. I'm sure it'll be right up there with the Zapruder film in terms of historical significance. Maybe they can sell it as an NFT to fund the campaign. Meanwhile, Chris LaCivita, another Trump advisor, called the cemetery official a disgrace. Because enforcing rules at a national cemetery is apparently more disgraceful than turning a tribute to fallen soldiers into a campaign event. Makes perfect sense. The cemetery, probably wishing they could just have one day without drama, basically said, "Yeah, something happened. We wrote it down. Moving on." Vote vets, clearly not impressed with Trump's cemetery shenanigans, suggested he fire the team members involved. Because nothing says supporting the troops like canning your staff for trying to exploit the troops. And let's not forget the cherry on top of this tasteless sundae. Governor Cox's social media post featuring Trump and others giving a thumbs up around a soldier's grave. Because nothing says, "We remember your sacrifice," quite like posing for Instagram at a gravesite. In the end, it seems Trump's team confused paying respects with getting clicks. Maybe next time they'll remember that some places are sacred, even in an election year. But let's be real. This is politics in 2024. The only thing sacred is the almighty poll number. Oh boy, grab your popcorn, folks, because the Ben Affleck romance rumor mill is spinning faster than a Kardashian's Instagram feed. So, Ben Affleck and Kit Kennedy, huh? Sounds like the setup for a bad joke. A Hollywood heartthrob and a Kennedy walk into a bar. But wait, Affleck's spokesperson is here to save the day, insisting they might not even know each other. Sure, and I might not know where my remote control is. Oh wait, it's been in my hand this whole time. But hold on to your tabloids because an anonymous source is spilling tea hotter than Boston Harbor. Apparently, Affleck and Kennedy have been pals for years. Who knew? Certainly not Affleck's spokesperson, it seems. Now, let's talk about timing. This rumor pops up right after J-Lo files for divorce. Coincidence? In Hollywood? Please. That's about as likely as finding a paparazzi-free beach in Malibu. And get this. Apparently, Affleck's been harboring a secret desire to join the Kennedy clan. Because nothing says I've made it quite like being part of America's most cursed political dynasty. Right? I mean, who wouldn't trade a billion-dollar lifestyle with J-Lo for... Wait, what exactly? The chance to summer in Hyannisport? But here's the real kicker. Pun absolutely intended. Kit Kennedy was supposedly Ben's celeb crush. I don't know about you, but when I think celeb crush, I usually picture, actual celebrities. Not saying Kit isn't great, but let's be real. If you saw her on the street, you'd probably think, is that the girl from my yoga class? Or maybe I bet her stepmom Cheryl wouldn't mind dating a younger guy with a podcast. So, there you have it, folks. Did the AI just make up the rumor, just like it helped make portions of this podcast? Will Ben and Kit be the next Benifer? Or is this just another Hollywood fairy tale?